Welcome, everyone, to the T-Rap Show with your host, Trapper Goldsmith, where we showcase elite athletes and sport individuals with their inspiring stories and rise to glory in their pursuit of everlasting greatness. We just get to meet a lot of incredible athletes across the board, hear their stories, and get a lot of advice for up-and-coming aspiring pro athletes. What it takes to get to that level and make a living at what we love to do. Both Jordan and I were lucky enough to do what we loved. My career was a little shorter than his, and he continues to have success. So, Jordan, welcome, my man.
Yeah, thank you.
Little intro for you. So you grew up in BC.
Yeah,
You were drafted young into the Dub by the Medicine Hat Tigers. And then you got picked up by the Raiders,
yeah,
and then
that's
finished
correct.
your career off with the Edmonton Oil Kings. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. I played
Yeah,
two years in Medicine Hat, 2 years in Prince Albert, and then my 20-year-old season in Edmonton.
nice, man. So you had a great WHL career. So this is kind of like we're gonna kick it off with this because you made a decision not to like try for to go pro right after. You were a very successful WHL player, but you actually went back to school. So you went to the University of Alberta and you decide to exercise your so it's every year you play in the WHL, you get 3 years schooling paid for. Is that right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's how it works. Yeah.
So you exercise that option in your prime, in your hockey prime, your athlete prime. You decide to go back to school. Kind of talk about that, man. The mindset behind that, where like what you were thinking, and what the long term goal was heading to the University of Alberta.
Yeah, I mean, it was a tough decision. I wasn't drafted to the NHL or anything like that, so um, I didn't have like that opportunity, but I did have a couple camps that I went to, and I actually going into the year after my 20-year-old year, I went to New York Rangers camp and went through their kind of rookie camp and main camp, and then they offered me to go down to their AHL camp. I still didn't have a contract at that time. I was just on a tryout, so I think I was probably looking at probably starting in the East Coast League at that point, and yeah, I just decided to use my WHL scholarship, and U of A was my top choice. I'd heard a lot of great things from guys who played there, and I'd seen a lot of guys move on from pro after, and their mentality there is run a lot like a professional team.
Mm.
You work outs every day, you practice every day. Yeah, it seemed like a good fit for me, and to take advantage of that WHL scholarship, and then I still had the goal in mind to play professional after, but I just didn't want to, maybe grind it out for a couple of years in the coast and then have nothing to fall back on. So, sorry, I should say the ECHL, but yeah,
Right,
but
yeah.
yeah, and there's a mentality at U of A where they want to progress guys to play pro after, and
Mm.
one of the sayings there is if obviously a lot of guys go on to work right after, but one of the sayings there is they want every guy when they're done at U of A to have won a national championship and to sign a professional contract. So that's their mentality. And if you go into that program with that mindset, then it's definitely possible. I think, the 1 year we won nationals, I think 9 or 10 of our forwards and all 6 of our starting D men ended up playing professional after. So yeah, it was an easy decision to go to that school and to take that road, and I'm glad the way it worked out, and I'm happy with my decision.
Yeah, I know the head coach, and I mean it's a phenomenal program. So you went into it, and I think that's a key. Like your mindset going into it was you still wanted to play pro, but you thought this was kind of the best of both worlds. So your goal was still to develop yourself as a player, even going to university.
Yeah, it definitely was, and like I said, it's actually a good time you don't play as many games in the season, obviously, than you do in junior. So you get a lot of time, a lot of practice time, a lot of time in the gym. We had a great strength coach who's actually the assistant strength coach now for the Oilers. So, just getting to work
Nice.
with him every day. And surrounding yourself with like-minded athletes. All my roommates were, same boat as I am. And, we really pushed each other. And that's part of the thing that made our team successful too, is everybody pushed, was fighting for ice time. And it was obviously we compete against other teams, but it was internally, everyone was trying to, everyone was every day in the gym and trying to get better. And then, yeah, getting to do school on top of it was great as well. So,
And I believe you met your future wife there as well, so it kind of paid off.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, we
Okay,
did.
so for kind of up and coming players, they're like, I'm not sure, should I play in the ECHL or should I go to school? George, talk about some of the advantages to going to school versus like jumping right into a lower league right away and trying to develop yourself there.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to like say there's any correct way to go, because I mean a lot of guys
Totally.
have done that. I've seen a lot of guys go to
Totally.
the East Coast after and work their way up, and I just didn't feel like I was 100% ready for that at that point, with my game, and just mentally too. I wanted to go to school. I spent 5 years in the WHL. It was a lot of hockey, and I want to take a little bit of a, like I said, you play less games, an easier schedule. So, um, but yeah, I would just say the advantages are like kind of like I pointed out before, just you get to still develop, play at a high level. I don't think that U Sports gets the recognition it always deserves, but there's a lot of great teams and a lot of great players
Mm.
that play in that league, and
So,
yeah,
so
it's an
what would be an
opportunity.
advantage to going pro right away then and playing in like the ECHL or OHL or one of those leagues?
Um, well, the opportunity to move up, maybe, from there to Europe or to the AHL earlier. Um, as far as like professional career, like I didn't start my professional career till I was 26.
Mhm.
So versus a guy who maybe starts at 21, you have those extra years where, opportunity to obviously make more money, play longer professional career. Um, those would be some advantages, I would say. Um, but a lot of guys too, I feel like, play for a few years and then maybe stop playing. But yeah, there's advantages and disadvantages to both. So
Depending on how you've taken care of your body, it depends on how long you can play.
yeah, and
Yeah.
like those, especially the North American leagues, like it's a grind. You play a lot of games and a lot of travel. So uh, but yeah, that would be an advantage, would to be maybe if you were one of the guys to continually progress and move up and maybe expand your professional career a little longer. But
So you graduated from University of Alberta, then you turned pro, you played for the Toronto Marlies. You played for them for a season?
no, just at the end of my last season at U of A, we were done. And then I went and played with them for like the rest of their season, or their regular season. So
Okay.
I just played a handful of games. But no, it wasn't a full season. It was just like I don't even know what you call it, like a call up, I guess, or
Okay. Kind of
yeah, at that point,
gave you the opportunity to get your feet wet and from
yeah.
there then you went overseas
Hmm.
rather than continuing to play in the AHL.
Hmm.
Played Slovakia before moving up into the DEL and playing in that league in Germany where you're currently at. What kind of talk about what you like. I guess your career was a little shorter in the AHL, but North America versus Europe, like what are some big differences in the two different hockey um countries?
Yeah. Um, Yeah, like you said, I only
Other
played
than the language, I mean,
yeah. Yeah. Um, I only got like a handful of games, like I said there, so I have a smaller sample size. But I would say, especially if you're playing in like a lower, like not the NHL, I guess, like a minor league, I guess they would consider it. Like the AHL, the East Coast, you get a lot of different teammates in a year. You run through like a lot of guys because guys are getting called up, sent
mm,
down, both ways, right? Like you can go
yeah,
up and down from the East Coast or up and down from the AHL. So I know a lot of guys go through a season and you're kind of rolling over your roster a lot. Obviously the travel is a lot bigger, or sorry, a lot longer. I meant bigger, like you got full country like United States and that the travel. But for
right.
some when I played in Slovakia, for example, our longest game away was maybe 3 hour drive. So
Oh,
the season's a little bit shorter over here. I think about 20 games shorter. And yeah, I mean, like I said over here, like you don't get that turnover as much. Kind of the team you sign. I mean, obviously there's some guys that come and go, but it's mostly team you have, and you kind of you know are able to develop a good bond and friendships and work together for the whole season for a common goal. I think North America, it's probably more competitive internally where guys want to, obviously be the guy to get called up to the AHL or called up to the NHL and all that. And like I said, I was only there for a little bit, so I can't speak too much about it, but that's kind of what I gathered from guys who have played
right.
in those leagues. So.
So did you? I mean, you've definitely progressed as a player, playing over in Europe, and I think you're one of the top players in the league. Was like, have you ever exercised the idea of coming back to play in North America now that you would say you're a stronger player professionally, or is it where you kind of want to finish your career out there and
Yeah, I think I would probably finish. Like, I want to finish my career out here. I'm turning 33 this year, so I mean, hockey age, it's getting a little bit older, and I you can see it now that the North American leagues are getting younger and younger. The young guys now are, doing really well, and it would be because I haven't really played in North America professionally, so it would be pretty late to try to start my career over there. So I think uh, me and my wife would like to spend a few more seasons over here and finish out my career here. And yeah, we really enjoy being in Europe. It's really nice to experience different cultures and
right?
different countries and cities. It's awesome, like a chance just to see the world and get to play hockey at the same time.
Yeah, that's cool. I follow your Instagram, and like some of the places you go to and some of the stuff you post is incredible.
Yeah.
And you get to experience that all while playing a game you love. So Jord, like what would be kind of like your mantra or your key advice that you would give to an up and coming WHL player? He knows he wants to go pro. What would you tell him?
Um, some of the obviously the cliche things, like obviously enjoy it a lot. Like your junior career is awesome, but it's only, a really short time. Those are some of the funnest seasons I had of hockey, and yes, obviously that. And then for someone who wants to play professional after, I would just say just continue to try to get better and work at your game and spend the time in the gym and on the ice, always trying to get better because like you want to separate yourself somehow from other players, and there's lots of players doing that. So the more time that you can put in, and you might be spending time in the gym and other guys aren't, and or time on the ice working on your skills and other guys aren't, and obviously I'd say sticking with it too is a big thing. I've seen a lot of guys that weren't drafted and maybe didn't even play pro right away, like went to
Right.
school like I did, or even went to the East Coast League for a few seasons and progressed and did really well, and then ended up having really good careers in Europe or North America. So think a big thing is just also like sticking with it, and um, yeah, those are kind of the few advice that I have. So
So totally, persistence is
yeah,
everything. Like
yeah,
when you're pursuing a massive goal, like becoming a professional, which I actually had soccer player Jordan Wilson on this show yesterday or day before,
okay,
and talks about like how progressive sport is, right? Like, I mean, you have 3-4 year olds now that are being groomed
hmm,
to play professional hockey. Like, it's sport has
yeah,
become, by the time you're turning 20, man, you've been playing sport for 17 years. It's crazy
yeah,
to not only play that long and not have mental or physical burnout, but also be injury free and keep your
hmm,
body
yeah,
functioning at that level.
hmm,
Awesome, man. So kind of like with that, what are some mental things like mindset? I do a lot of mindset stuff, what I talk about on my social media, and I think it's 98% mental and 2% everything else.
yeah.
What were some real mental things that you worked on, whether it was sports psychologist or it was meditation or things like that really helped you progress your career and continue to develop as a pro player?
Yeah, that's a good question. I also believe that mental side of the game is huge, and yeah, it's really important. And I think as an athlete, that's probably the biggest probably hurdle for a lot of athletes, and it's it's difficult. I mean, when things are going good, it's good. You have confidence and everything, and then when things aren't going so good, it's it's easy to let like those thoughts get in your head, and um
Doubt creep in.
yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know that, but I would say kind of to go along that is like not get too high or get too low. Try to keep an even keel with your mindset. And kind of goes back to we talk about persistency and sticking with it. And
Yeah.
if you have that mindset that okay, like things maybe in your season or something or a game didn't go so well, it's like sticking with it and knowing like that if the harder you work and the more you stick with it, that good things will come of that. And I think a big thing too for me, which I struggle with too, I still struggle with it now, is just being able to put things behind you, right? You have a bad game or bad shift, or for hockey, or I don't know, bad shot in golf or a bad
Yeah.
round. It's really easy to look back and be like, oh, like I should have done this or I should have done this. I think a big part of it is moving on and just looking at what's ahead, right, and not behind, and forgetting about those little mistakes and just like I said, sticking with it and moving on to the next day. And that's what's great about hockey, which I love about it, is you have a long season, and yeah, you're gonna have some bad games or bad shifts or bad little stretches, but it's there's always the next game to turn around. And it's like I said, it's something that I still today struggle with after a game. I'm like, oh, I missed that shot or I missed
Right.
that pass or something. But um, yeah, it's just kind of like I said, sticking with it and putting that behind you and getting focused for the next game,
Yeah.
because that's all you can really do, right?
Yeah. I have, when I have conversations with hockey players and they're like, oh, you played pro golf, like that's so hard.
Mm,
Um, I'm like, well, one, I didn't have to do cardio like you
yeah,
guys.
yeah,
Two, I got to keep all my teeth, which was
yeah,
nice, later on. But
yeah.
with golf, it's true. The difficulty is, you have a bad shot. Well, now I
Mhm.
got the next 15 minutes to think about that bad shot, try and forget it. And,
Yeah,
it can compound so quickly on a golf course because you have that time to think. It's not like, oh, we can just erase
yeah,
it. So the best players that I ever played with had that ability to just like almost short-term memory. Like they would just forget it.
yeah,
Wouldn't even remember 3 holes before, right? And I think that's a big key for sure.
yeah, yeah. Another thing mentally too, I think it's important to like have a goal, set a goal for yourself. And I think too, it's always good to set that goal high, because even if you don't maybe reach it, you're at least, say for example, you want to, I don't know, for a hockey player, I want to get 8 shots on net in a game, which is a lot for a player, and maybe you get 4 or 5, which is still a lot. But if you're striving to do something and have goals that are like, you know, pretty difficult, like pretty, I wouldn't say like too out there, but at least something that's gonna challenge you and like it's always gonna kind of push you to be a little bit better. So and then
Stretch it. Yeah.
yeah. Um,
Aim for the stars and you at least hit the moon. Is that what you're
yeah,
saying,
exactly.
Jordan?
Yeah, kind of, I guess.
That's
Yeah.
getting
Yeah.
poetic and romantic. Well, on that thought, so you are married to the lovely Jessie Niles, who also had a very successful sport career. She played professional volleyball and played for the national team as well, and played for University of Alberta.
Yep.
So let's switch gears here a little bit, man, and kind of talk about like, so you're both playing full-time sport, professional sport, and as athletes, we know how much effort, focus, and that requires. How did you guys balance your relationship, and especially with you traveling so much, and then you headed overseas as well? Yeah, how did you kind of balance your relationship with both of you having such demanding careers?
Yeah, I mean, at times it's tough with the distance and everything, but it was really, really fun to be able to play. We played pretty much 2 years together at U of A while we were dating our last 2 years. So that was awesome. And then we graduated at the same time. And she was playing for the national team then. So her summers were spent with the national team. Yeah, and then when I moved overseas, she actually came with me the first year because she was wanting to play overseas too, and she ended up playing in France that year while I was in Slovakia.
Right.
So we spent that year mostly apart, and then spent the summer together. And then the next season, we were actually really fortunate to play 2 seasons in Austria together for the same city.
Oh, no way.
Yeah,
I
so
didn't
we
actually
got
know that. Oh, that's wild.
yeah, so
Nice.
it was pretty awesome. We got 2 years of that, and then in those summers, the national team was trained out of Vancouver. So we spent our summers in Vancouver. She was training and playing with the national team, and I was just spending my summer there and training. And my family's from Mission, like you said, so it's only about an hour drive. So it was nice to see them a lot in the summer. But yeah, so the 2 years there it was really cool being able to play in the same city in Austria. So and then she ended up playing one more year in France after that, and I went back to Slovakia. So we had to spend another kind of season apart. And then she ended up playing. I think that was her last. That summer was her last summer of playing for the national team. Um, and then yeah, then since then we've been together over here for this our third season now. She was working on her master's degree, and now she's working full time. So it's nice to be able to spend that she can work over here full time, and that we can still spend the time together. So, but yeah, I mean, it was a lot of navigation with the some of the long distance and everything, but it was pretty cool to be able to play in the same city in Europe, and then also even when she was in France, it wasn't too far of a flight. We both got some breaks, so we would go for some stretches without seeing each other, but in the end, it was pretty good that at least we were on the same continent and same time zone, so that wasn't too bad. But yeah, I mean, it's fun.
In the end, it was worth it, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's definitely worth it, and I think it's fun. It was fun, like playing professional at the same time and going to school at the same time, because you're with, like, I don't know a lot about volleyball. She doesn't know about a ton about hockey, but it's fun to like at least have someone who has that athlete mindset and knows what you're going through, but maybe not too critiquing of my game because she's a volleyball player. So it was fun for me to kind of just be a fan of her and watch her with the national team with U of A and everything, and but also have that mental side of it was huge because she understands the mental ups and downs of being an athlete as well. So yeah, I mean, it worked out great, and it was a lot of fun, to be honest.
So my wife and I have had the pleasure, or not so much pleasure, of getting slaughtered by you guys on the tennis courts. But we know that you're super competitive, both of you. Obviously, you both play pro sport. How do you not let the competitiveness between each other like boil over and get too heated or
Yeah, I mean, we both are competitive people. But I think it also that's a good thing because we play tennis, we do other stuff together, and it makes it more fun when we're able to compete against each other. And one summer we had a ping pong table, and I remember like we'd be like, oh, let's play one game, and we play one game, and then whoever would lose, we'd be like, all right, let's play again, and because you don't want to lose, and then
keep going?
an hour goes by and you've played 10 games or something, so it's pretty funny. But no, I think we're both competitive people, but obviously we get along super well. So
So there's never been any tantrums out on the tennis court, is what you're telling me?
Maybe a couple, probably by me more. I don't like to lose, but
Especially when it's to your wife.
yeah, exactly. But I think it's usually pretty civil, but it's a lot of fun because we can go out there and actually have a good match.
Once the sweat has cooled down and cooler heads have prevailed, then it's all good.
Yeah, exactly.
Wicked, man. Well, I'm super happy for you. I follow your career, and I'd like to see you playing another 2 or 3 seasons at least, and
Yeah.
you guys finally get a championship over there. But appreciate your time this morning, Jordan. Yeah, man, it's been great catching up with you, and look forward to watching the rest of your season.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. It was good to chat, and yeah, it was fun.
And just warn Jesse, FYI, my wife and I have been practicing, listening to the Rocky montage. Like we're gonna bring it this summer when you guys are home.
Yeah, well, you still have me at pickleball, so
yeah, the old man sport, pickleball.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
you need a few years yet before you can take me on the pickleball court.
Yeah,
just got to get old enough. All right, man. Awesome. Enjoyed the rest of your Saturday. I know you got games lined up, so looking forward to watching you in there.
Okay. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you bet, brother.
All right. Talk to you later.